DPS TeleClass.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to DPS TeleClass. I am Moomina. Today I am here to take a mathematics teleclass lesson for you all. How are you students? I hope all of you doing well. Alhamdulillah, I am also doing well. Before going to start today's topic, let's recite the dua.
قال رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي.
Now I am going to share today's learning intention and success criteria. First, I am going to share today's learning intention. Today, we are going to learn about add and subtract integers. Now I am going to share today's success criteria, and you will be succeed if you can add and subtract integers. Today I am going to show you how to add and subtract integers. Adding and subtracting integers, I'm gonna start off by showing you how you are gonna add integers. There are two methods. They are typically taught. The first method that I'm going to point out is using the obsolete value. And to add integers, you want to keep in mind two rules. Okay, if the signs are the same, you need to add the absolute values of the numbers that you have to and keep the sign the same. The other rule you need to remember is if the signs are different, you want to subtract the absolute value of the two numbers and take the sign of the larger absolute value. I know that sounded like a lot. Don't worry, I'm gonna go through examples and I'm gonna show you how to solve and how to add the integers using a method number 1 and method number 2, which is the when you are using method number 2, use us just gonna use a number line. That's actually my preference. I'll explain why I like that method a little better, but of course that choice is you. You can solve the problem however you want to. It really does not matter as long as you get the right answer, and the way you are getting the answer is not by cheating. So method number 1 or method number 2, whichever you want, is the cool. Example number 1, we have a 4 plus a negative 7. First, I'm gonna solve this using the obsolete value method. If you remember on the last slide, it says that when your signs are different, in this case they are because I have a positive 4 and I have a negative 7. These parentheses help separate your signs. Your addition signs and your negative sign for the 7, so it looks a little more clear instead of seeing two signs are touching. Sometimes I can look a little confusing even though it would not be incorrect to have two sides touching, but it just makes the problem look a little clear. So you are gonna see it like this a lots of times when you in your book or paper. But anyway, if you remember, the rule says When the signs are different, you are going to subtract the obsolete values of the numbers and your answer is going to take the sign of the largest obsolete value. So I need to subtract these two numbers. I need put the number on the top that has the largest obsolete value. If you don't know how to find the obsolete value of a number, you need to go check out my intro to integers slides. It talks about obsolete value in there. I'm gonna assume you know what obsolete value is it this point, so I'm gonna move kind of quickly with it. The obsolete value of 4 is a 4. I'm going to write underneath just for the clarification, and the obsolete value of -7 is a 7. So I'm gonna subtract these two numbers, 7 and 4, and I'm gonna get a 3. The rules say that the numbers with the largest obsolete value is going to determine the sign of my answer. The number that had the largest obsolete value was the -7. The -7 is a negative, so that means the answer is going to be a negative. So the obsolete value methods give you can answer of a -3. The number line method will also give us an answer of a -3, but we are just gonna take a different steps. I'm gonna start with the 0 on my number line. When I'm working with the number line method, I'm gonna remember that this is really a sentence. Okay, this tense tells me something. This is and saying I for of something, and that sign is like a saying, and then something else happened which was brought on. Okay, that's like what the positive sign says. Then the something else happened, and what else happened was a 7 was taken away. Okay, so that's exactly what this sentence saying. It says there's a 4 something, and the something else was brought on, which was a 7 was the taken away. So I'm gonna start with the 4. We are not a line, or I should say I'm gonna start at the 4. So I will go over 4 is now I'm going to start a subtract 7, because that is what this tell me to do. When I subtract 7, I need to start at the 4, because that is what my sentence told me. We started at the 4. If you remember, whenever you subtract or get a lower in value on a number line, that means always go to the left. I like put a little subtraction signs here in addition signs here, and it just helps students usually remember which direction to go. So we are gonna subtract 7. So I'm going to start here, and I have got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so this point are directly to the left of the 0 is the -1. This point is a -2, and this point is a -3, and this point is a -3. So -3 is the answer when you use the number line method. The reason I like using the number line method is because I feel it is a lot more logical. Using the obsolete value method is more like to write memorizations. This is just like memorizing some tricks your teacher told you to do. You probably don't really understand what is going on here with the number line. You can understand what's going on. So a student who's going to understand what is going on the number line is going to be able to better help themselves in the future, because they can actually figure out what's going on for themselves Whereas this method you solve by knowing some rules that your teacher taught with you. This method is going to sort of not really condition you of thinking about a match. I guess you could say it's just a way to get it done, but it's like if a student solves this way, it makes me wonder, do they really understand what's going on? I think a student is less likely to understand what's going on when they are solving with an absolute value method, but it's still not bad. It will get you the correct answer, but I do want to point that out because I feel like the number line method is a little more helpful to students in general because it trains them how to think and how to understand what's going on with the numbers really. Let's move on to example number 2. Example number 2, I have a negative 10 plus a negative 6. Okay, my number are the same, my integers are the same. So if you remember, when the integers are the same, the rule said add the obsolete value. So that means a 10 plus a 6. The obsolete of a negative 10 is the 10. The obsolete value of a negative 6 is a 6. So we add the obsolete value. So that gives me a 16. And the signs remains the same, both signs are negative, so that means your answer just remain a negative. Quick, simple, gets the job done. But again, you must know these rules to do that, and it's not a very logical, that is not very intuitive, like most people are not gonna figure that at the number line. You can't figure out, you can think about this and you can know what to do for this problem and other problems without needing rules. You can use it with your own mind. This sentence tells me that I'm going to start at a negative 10. I'm gonna put a 0 here, and I'm not gonna count out all 10 notes. I'm just going to skip count by 5. So I have my negative 5 and I have a negative 10. So I start at the negative 10, and then the same thing was brought on. Remember, I explained that in the last slide what was brought on subtraction of 6. So I'm gonna go over to this would be negative 15 and would be here because the subtraction of 6, remember, when we subtract we go to the left on the number line, and we add we go to the right on the number line. So subtraction of 6 would leave me here at the negative 16. So you get the same answer, but this is a more sensible, I guess you could say. Let's move on to example number 3. Example number 3, we have a negative 2 plus 9. There is a number parenthesis this time, and there is a number problem. The reasons there is a no parenthesis is because we did not have a 2 signs that we are gonna end up touching before on the last problem we had here. I will go back on one on the problem. We had a plus 9 and it would have been attaching directly next to 9 minus 6. which could get a little confusing looking. You are like, oh, I have an addition sign and then I have a for subtraction sign or negative sign, right? After that might look kind of confusing. Don't worry about it. If you have a problem that does not have that most of the time, you are not going to see a parentless written around it. If you have a problem that does not have a two sign that are gonna touch, are you not gonna see a parentless written around that second number? Okay, let's solve the using the absolute value method. We have to look at our signs. We have a negative 2 and 9 plus 9. The signs are different. The rules say that when the signs are different, you need to subtract the absolute values. The absolute value have a negative 2 is a 2, and the absolute value of 9 and 9 minus 2 is 7. The sign takes the sign of the number with a larger absolute value. The 9 has the largest absolute value, and the sign of this time is a positive, so that means this just going to be a regular positive 7. Now I am going to use the number line method. Drop my plus sign in. I am going to start at a minus 2. So here my 0 started at minus 2, and then something is gonna be brought on. What is gonna be brought on? It's gonna be a 9, because there is a not 9 sign with it. That means it's a positive 9. You are gonna add a 9. What is gonna be brought on a 9 more? Okay, so that means we are adding, it means you are going to the right. So we are going go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's see where we have in that. This is not a 0.9 because we are not at, then mark a 9 on my number line because we started 2 over. So we have to see where we are. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 4 at 7. So the answer with the number line method is also 7. Let's move on the subtracting integers. There is also two methods. For subtracting integers, they are not the same as adding. The first method is to add the opposite, and the second method is to use the number line. The number line method is the same, but they made the number 1, they are at the opposite. That cut is different. Let's jump on to the example number 4. Example number 4, we have 8 minus negative 2. When adding the opposite, this means you will rewrite the problem. Expect instead of writing a subtraction sign, you are going to change it an addition sign. And you are going to write the opposite of your second. In this case, my second number is minus 2. The opposite of minus 2 is a positive 2. Now you solve like a regular addition of integers. Problem 8 plus 2 is a 10. So the answer is a 10. Now I am going to use the number line method. Try out my number line and I will add 2. But the number line method, although I do like it more. I do not draw a number lines. I usually do that step in mind. I understand which direction I am gonna be moving, so I just think about it and figure it out in my head. I don't actually draw a number line, but I am still drawing them here for you guys so you understand the basis of my thought process when figuring it out. I am gonna start with the 8. So here is my 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to subtract. That means come the left minus 2. Here is where it gets a little tricky. Subtract, but then the number line you are gonna subtract is a negative number. That a negative number tell you to reverse your direction. You can think of the negative sign is a saying a change direction, so that the start off with the saying subtract. That means we are gonna go this way, but then it's like, oh no, we are gonna reverse that. Let me go back this way of, so it's like a 9, 10. So we end at 10, so it's the same way, get the same answer, a positive 10. A double, a negative in a math is really similar to having a double negative in English or grammar. You probably learned you are not supposed to have two negatives in a sentence. I will explain why really quickly right here, because it works the same case with why we change a direction on our number down here. When you say something like I have a no, saying is I want to, you say is I do not have. The statement or scenario that I am about to mention, you are saying there is a concept that I do not have, and the concept is no that it is. So by saying two negative you have, I just made it a positive. The same is true in a match where you have a two negative, it's forced to be a positive. So students, this is your activity time. Are you ready for the task? I guess all of you ready. So the activity is task 1. Add the following values are represented on the cards given that the red cards are negative numbers and black cards are positive numbers. And task 2 is subtract the following values represent on the given red card negative number and black card a positive number. Students, please do the complete that activity before the next week TeleClass lesson. Now it's the time to end today's lesson, but before that, let's recall what you have learned from today's TeleClass lesson. Yes, you have learned about add and subtract integers. Now I am going to conclude today's TeleClass lesson. I hope you enjoyed and get some more information from today's topic. Inshallah, I will meet you soon in another TeleClass lesson. Until then, stay safe, stay home, and don't forget to wash your hands frequently. Have a great day. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
DPS TeleClass